Prajne Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So we are reading another beautiful shlok today from Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 21. Vidyate Hridya Grantish Chindate Sarva Sanshayaha Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drashta Evatmanishware. Vidyate Hridya Grantish Chindate Sarva Sanshayaha Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drashta Evatmanishware. Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chidyante Sarva Sanshayaha Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drashta Evatmanishware. Please repeat if somebody can.
Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Kshyanti Kasya Karmani Drista Evat Manishware.
Hare Krishna. Vidyate Hridaya Grantis Chindate Sarva Sansayaha Chinyate Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanisware. Hare Krishna.
Vidyate Hridaya Granti Chidyante Sarva Samsaya Shriyante Chasya Karmani Drista Evatmanisware.
Vidyante Hridya Grantis Chidyante Sarva Samshaya Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanisware. Hare Krishna.
Vidyate Hridaya Granthis Chidyante Sarva Samshaya Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishware.
Hare Krishna. Vidyate Hridaya Granthis Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Kshiyante Karmani Drishta Evatmanishware. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Vidyate Hridaya Grantes Chidyante Sarva Samsaya Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishware. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so Bindate, pierced, Hridaya, heart, Granthi, knots, Chindate, cut to pieces, Sarva, all, Samshaya, misgivings, Kshiyante, terminated, Cha, and Asya, his, Karmani, chain operative, actions, Drishte, having seen, Eva, certainly, Atmani, unto the self, Ishvara, dominating. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of operative actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Attaining scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of the living being as spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculations and misgivings. The materialist does not believe in the existence of spirit self, and empiric philosophers believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit without individuality of living beings. But the transcendentalist affirms that the soul and the super soul are two different identities, qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. There are many other theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared up as soon as Sri Krishna is realized in truth by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Sri Krishna is like the sun, and the materialistic speculations about absolute truth are like the darkest midnight. As soon as Krishna, sun, is arisen within one's heart, the darkness of the materialist speculation about absolute truth and the living being is at once cleared off. In the presence of sun, the darkness cannot stand, and the relative truths that were hidden within the dense darkness of the ignorance become clearly manifested by the mercy of Krishna, who is residing in everyone's heart as the super soul. In the Bhagavad Gita 10:11, Lord says that in order to show special favor to his pure devotees, he personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead's taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotees, certainly a devotee engaged in his service in transcendental love cannot remain in darkness. He comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness, and because the devotee is enlightened by the personality of Godhead, his knowledge is certainly perfect. This is not the case for those who speculate on the absolute truth by dint of their own limited power of approach. Perfect knowledge is called parampara, or deductive knowledge, coming down from the authority to the submissive oral receiver, who is bona fide by service and surrender. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme and know him also at the same time. He reserves the right of not being exposed to such challenging spirit of an insignificant spark of the whole, a spark subjected to control of illusory energy. The devotees are submissive, and therefore the transcendental knowledge descends from the personality of Godhead to Brahma, and from Brahma to his sons and the disciples in succession. This process is helped by the super soul within such devotees. That is the perfect way of learning transcendental knowledge. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from the matter, because the knot of spirit and the matter is united by the Lord. This knot is called ahankara, and it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. As soon as the knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of the doubt are at once cleared off. One sees this matter and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fruitive reaction. In material existence, a living being creates his own chain of fruitive work and enjoys the good and the bad effect of those actions life after life. But as soon as he engages himself in the loving service of the Lord, he at once becomes free from the chain of karma. This action is no longer created by any reaction. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam today. And this verse actually, if we see this verse is actually result of the following the bhakti process. Bhakti process we actually read or learned from text number 16 to 20. So those 5 slokas were actually how we progress in the bhakti. And last Sunday, I spoke a little bit about the 9 process of bhakti, process of like how one progresses, how devotees can progress in the bhakti. So we should actually know about this progress. Otherwise, how we will progress in our bhakti? And progression in bhakti is very important actually. Otherwise, we will never achieve our goal. Like Sri Rup Goswami says, the last stage of bhakti is prem. But in Madhurya Kadambini, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti added some more steps, some more processes, So he said, Atha Darshanam, after the prem, the darshan of the Lord comes himself, and gives darshan to a devotee, who is like so much intense love for the Lord. And then he directly Harer Madhurya Bhavam, like he gets Madhurya, like a sweetness of the Hari, of the Lord. So that's also another last stage. So once you get that kind of sweetness of the Lord and you feel that sweetness of the Lord, that is the greatest thing one can achieve actually. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually gives us 14 stages which corresponds with this shloka. And also in the first canto, 5th chapter, we see the life of Narada Muni actually. That's also correspondence with his life, like how he progressed in the bhakti from like Mahat Seva. So actually, bhakti starts with Satam Kripa. Satam Kripa is like mercy of the devotees, but mercy of the devotee actually comes to us. It's it's not unintentional, like devotee doesn't deserve it, it's a causeless mercy actually of the devotee. Because like sometime, like how the causeless mercy jiva gets it, like some devotees comes, sits under the tree. The tree has the soul, but actually it's a jiva, but he doesn't understand, that this is devotee, or he comes to me, and by seeing him, I'm getting purified. But that's what happens to so this is causeless mercy of the devotee, so that tree becomes in next life in a human form, and then he gets more chance of performing bhakti and purify his life. So that's actually Satam Kripa. And similarly, like sometime some devotees goes to somebody's door, he may be meat eater or he may be a bad guy, but he knocks his door and gives him Bhagavad Gita as a gift, So what happens once a while he reads it, but he didn't deserve, to get a Bhagavad Gita, but it is devotee's mercy. So the mercy comes actually without any cause. And then once he gets that mercy of the devotee, then he slowly starts service to that devotee. And if he does, then his Shraddha gets some more. So this way, there are different processes. So in this particular verse 21st, this gives result following this bhakti process, that like what do you say, Phalastuti. This is Phalastuti, after doing what kind of results we get it. So it says Bhindate Hriday Granthis. So the knot in the heart is pierced. What kind of knot we have? All the karmic things, all the activities we do, we get actions. And those knots are so tight, one after other, we desire different things, and each time we desire different things. I want to enjoy this. There are so many things in this material world which we try to enjoy, and then these knots gets one knot after another knot, one after another knot. So there are so many knots for the time immemorial, actually, from the millions and millions of our births. We do not know what we were in next life, and our past life, and before that past life, and before that past life. So these knots are actually accumulating on our heart, and there are so many knots. So by performing the process of bhakti and slowly progressing in our bhakti, what we are doing, the knots, we are loosening those knots. And once those knots are loosed, then chindate sarva samshaya. Samshaya means misgivings also, and also we can say sanshaya means doubts. So all the doubts, they are cut to the pieces like a chopper, we just chop off. So we chop those, all the misgivings, all the doubts. And then kshinyate chash karmani, the chain of karma, like which we are doing for so many lifetimes, they are gradually terminated, slowly terminated as we progress in our bhakti. So bhakti is so much important actually when one sees the self as a master. So actually we have to know that we are not this body, we are the soul. And we should know the distinction between the soul and the super soul, that we are part and parcel of Krishna, but we are in the quality we are same as the Lord, but in quantity we are very minute. So once we know this difference, and once we see the Lord in our heart, we realize the Lord as Paramatma in our heart, then all these things happens very fast actually. So bhindate means cut to pieces. So how the knot is cut to pieces actually? Hridaya Granthi. So Hridaya Granthi means these knots. So Hridaya means heart and Granthi means knots. So if you see everyone's heart, there's not a single person whose heart doesn't have the knots, except of course the pure devotees and Mahabhagavats. Those people do not have any attachment to this material world. They don't have this kind of material desires. They have only one desire, to serve the Lord and spread Lord's mission. So those kind of devotees do not have that knots. Otherwise, everyone has knots. And the biggest knot, Sri Prabhupada is saying, is this material desires, and mostly of the sex actually. Pumsah striya maithuni bhavamitam. So that is the biggest knot. So enjoy this material world somehow or the other. So man wants a woman wants a man. So this is actually, and they are searching one after other. So this is the problem in this material world. Some way or other, I have to unite with the woman or with the man. So this is going on actually for a long time. That's what Prabhupada says in several verses. So that way we desire different things of this material world, and our knot gets more and more tight actually. And one knot of the other knot, one knot of the other knot. And we make it so tight, so secure, that it's very hard to open those knots. So that's why this shloka says that vidyate hridaya granthi. So it really loosens that knot. So this is our position actually in this material world. And there are so many knots, and we have to open those knots one after other. We have to cut those knots, because we are bound up in this material world by so many desires. So we, as a devotee, actually, we should begin like cutting those knots. And how we can cut those knots? It says in Bhagavatam, we already read 15th shloka actually. So 15th shloka says that we have to have the sword in our hand. What kind of sword? Is the remembrance of personality of God and Lord Krishna. So once we remember him, these knots start losing. And whole world is working so hard actually in this material world that the knots are keep going on one after other. But once we take the sword of Krishna consciousness, then we are losing and cutting them off. So Krishna consciousness in anybody's life is very important. We should, as a devotee, we should know the importance of Krishna consciousness, and then only we can actually value the Krishna consciousness and our activities in Krishna consciousness, that what it does for us. So actually we have the subtle body and we have the gross body. So actually all the desires are in subtle body. This gross body actually just tries to enjoy, but actually enjoyment comes to the subtle body. Our mind thinks, I'm enjoying, but actually there is no enjoyment in this material life, as we all know that this is so dry. And like we see the example of a deer. Actually, he is looking for the musk. He's smelling the musk, but he doesn't know where is the musk. The musk is actually in his navel, but he's running after it, that smell, where it is coming from. And then he keeps running in the desert, but he never gets that musk, but because it is right in his navel and he doesn't know. So similarly, as a human being, we also know where is the happiness. We are looking everywhere. Why we are going in behind this all the sense gratifications, because we are looking for happiness, that this will make me happy, that will make me happy. So, but the real happiness is in Krishna consciousness. So once we know where is the real happiness and how we can get it, then we will definitely perform sadhana, Krishna bhakti, and that way we can get. Similar example is like how sometime the well is covered by the grass. Sometime it is covered by the grass. People don't know where is the well, and they will look for water everywhere, and they will not get it. So our condition is also same. We are looking happiness everywhere, but we do not know actually where is the right happiness. And once we know that happiness is here actually in chanting and remembering Krishna all the time, like Krishna says, Manmana Bhav Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. So offering our obeisances, praying him, and remembering him all the time. So that way we can actually perform our bhakti nicely. And Krishna also helps us actually in remembering. So any person who is trying bhakti, actually Krishna shows special mercy to them. It is given in the Bhagavad Gita 10.11. Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashami atma bhavastho jnana deepena bhasvata. So Krishna is so merciful to his devotees. He shows them special mercy. So Krishna says that I dwell in their hearts and destroy with the darkness which is situated in their heart, because everybody is ignorant in this material world. So he actually, with shining lamp of light, he shows that the shining lamp as a super soul, and slowly he actually destroys all the darkness. So the more serious we do our sadhana, then we can actually, Krishna will come with the torchlight and actually dissipate our darkness. So that will actually help us. So I will go through a little bit about like what we read from 16th shloka to shloka number 20. So in short, actually, not in too much detail. So how it works actually. So shloka number 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It shows actually different stages of bhakti and different stage of progress of bhakti and different stages, how it slowly progress. So 16th shloka says that serving who are freed from all the different things, are freed from all the material desires. If you serve those kind of devotees and hear very carefully with attention, and we are eager to hear the message of Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. So if you have Ruchi in that Katha, that way it is made possible by the service to the great devotees. So then we can, so this stage actually is Shraddha, and so first stage in the Rup Goswami says Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajan Kriya. So these three stages are given in the first shloka. And actually, if you compare this one with this process, 14 stages, then it is Satam Krapa, causeless mercy of the devotees, Mahat Seva, which is service to the devotees, and Shraddha, which is the faith, and the Guru Prasadashraya. Guru Prasadashraya means seeking the shelter of a Guru's feet. So these four stages are divided. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was actually great acharya in our parampara, and his disciple was Baldev Vidyabhushan, who wrote the Govinda Bhashya. So because at one time there was like many different people were saying that these Gaudiya people do not have their own commentary on the Vedic literature, so they should have it, otherwise it's not authorized. So this complaint from the king says that okay, either this Gaudiya Vaishnava write the commentary on all the literature, Vedic literature, all the Puranas. Otherwise, actually Gaudiya do not have that, because Srimad Bhagavatam is the actually commentary on all the Puranas, all the Vedic knowledge. So that's why we didn't have one. But when it was ordered by the king, and all the other sects were actually saying that they should have it, so Vishwanath Chakravarti, it was given the task to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. But at that time he was very old, so he requested one of his disciples, he ordered him to write it. So Baldev Vidyabhushan wrote Govinda Bhashya at that point. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he actually gave so many commentaries, and very nice commentaries. So the 17th slok which we read, which says Krishna cleans the heart of the hearer. So we have to hear. So on the 17th chapter, 17th text, we read about what is the importance of hearing. And then 18th slok we read about the anartha nivratti and nishta. So regular Bhagavad Seva destroys all the anarthas. So anarthas are actually very important to know, because once we know about anartha, then only we will be able to destroy them. Otherwise, it will be very hard for us to destroy those anarthas. So there are so many anarthas we have, and we should know actually how we can clean those anarthas. So I will try to see if I can say something about those anarthas. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually gives 6 anarthas. And once we know the anartha, we can try actually to see how we can actually get rid of those anarthas. If we don't know the anarthas, then how we will try to get rid of them. So those anarthas actually is according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are 6 anarthas. One is Utsahamai. Utsahamai means in the beginning, we are so much enthusiastic in this material world with our pride. We have so much pride in personal even we as a devotee, we have pride that I'm doing the devotional service, and by this one, I will attend this thing, I'm doing perfect chanting. So, and I have already mastered everything, that's what is devotees feeling actually. So these are the anarthas in the devotees actually. So second anartha is ghan taral. Ghan means solid, taral means liquid. So how our sadhana goes, one time solid, one time liquid. So sometime devotees chant round one day very seriously. Next day he gets loose and he's too busy, he doesn't do the chanting. One day he reads the scriptures, Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and next day he's too sleepy, he doesn't do chanting perfectly. So this is Gantharala, like sometimes bhakti gets solid, sometimes gets very liquidy. And the third type of the anarthas are Yuddha Vikalpa. Yuddha Vikalpa means sometimes he thinks, that he is very confused actually what he should do. He should remain in the household life, or he should become renounced. So he see different things, then should I enjoy my youth, later on I can perform bhakti, let me just my young age, I just got newly married, let me enjoy, rather than, going for the renounced order of life or doing my bhakti too seriously at this point, and let me just fulfill my tendency for sense gratification. So that's why he just gets confused, that let me do this now, and later on I will do bhakti. So next stage is Visaya Sangara. Visaya Sangara means there is ongoing struggle in the devotee's mind about the sense pleasure. And then he actually being carried away in these sense pleasures of material enjoyment. And he thinks, then he gets really thinking, that my God, I should do the bhakti rather than enjoying my senses, So he's right in between. So he thinks, that okay, from now actually I should take shelter of Krishna's devotee, and I should renounce everything. And so he's forced by his own nature actually to enjoy these things. And then he thinks that I should renounce, but he in this stage, it's very hard for him to progress in the bhakti. Next stage is Niyamakshama, inability to improve devotional practices. Wherever he is, many times we think, that what the stage of bhakti I was 15 years ago, I'm the same stage now also. There is no progress. So actually he thinks, okay, now I have to get serious. I have to do, from now onwards, I will do 64 rounds every day. From today, I will see the deities 3 times a day. And he different things. I will read a chapter every day of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita, or listen to lectures by Srila Prabhupada or any senior acharyas. So he has actually very good intention to perform bhakti, but he cannot increase the bhakti because of these anarthas actually he has. And the last one is Tarangarangini. Tarangarangini is the delighting the material facility that bhakti produces. Because by bhakti, actually, once we are devotees, actually Krishna tries to fulfill devotees' desires. So Krishna gives them good money. You may see many devotees, they are rich. Many devotees have good jobs, things like that. So this is due to mercy of the Krishna on the devotees. But devotees actually, and actually devotees also get some positions in the sampradaya, and they feel, I'm this, but I have this title, so they get into it, and the people goes in the positions, so wealth, followers, if somebody is becomes guru by Krishna's mercy, then he gets so many followers, and then slowly he puffs up actually with this. And so these are the small waves, tarangas of the pride in the devotee's life. So these anarthas we have to remove. Otherwise, if we don't remove anarthas, then it will be very hard to progress in the bhakti. So I also feel, I'm in the stage of anartha nivratti, because I don't feel any love after so many years in the Krishna consciousness. So I feel all the time that I should progress in my own sadhana, but sometimes it's very hard actually, and because I don't take proper instructions of my guru. So I should do that, and we should think in that term. And if we don't know our mistakes, what are our pitfalls, then it will be very hard for us to improve in our bhakti. So after anartha nivatti, we get some nishtha. Nishtha means a steadiness in our bhakti. So that's the next stage. And then slowly we develop ruchi. In the ruchi, what happens? The lower modes of enjoyment, they all completely disappears. And one becomes happy, very happy in our sadhana. So we get taste of the Krishna consciousness of our bhakti. So that taste is very important. So the heart is no longer pierced by sense objects. So in the heart, there are no sense objects, and there is no lack of taste. There is lack of taste for the material enjoyment, but not for spiritual practices. So spiritual taste actually goes up and material taste goes down. So that is the ruchi and asakti. So once this comes, asakti is very firm attachment to bhakti. And then rati comes. Rati means fondness of practicing bhakti. So all the time person is engaged with the bhakti. And then ruchi, also asakti, and then the bhav and prem. In the bhav and prem, there is not too much difference, except in the bhav, the bhakti is, the love to the Lord is very solid, it's not, and in the prem, it's like very soft. It's a lot of love for the Lord. He doesn't think anything except Lord. And then the 13th and 14th is darshan and harer madhurya anubhava. So we feel the direct experience of sweetness of the Lord. And once we feel that sweetness, actually that's the greatest stage for us to remember. So At last, I will just take 2-3 more minutes, and I will tell you something about Narad Muni's life, how he narrates about his stages of life, which Bhakti Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually relates to these progresses in the Bhakti, those different stages actually. Like Narad Muni's, how the Satam Krapa, Mahat Seva, Shraddha, and Guru Padashraya. So in these stages, what Narad Muni did, we know that he was the son of maid servant, but she was helping, when the Chaturmas comes, all the devotees used to come to stay in somebody's house where she was working. So by their kripa, actually, Mahat Seva and Satam Kripa, by kripas of those devotees, those Bhakti Vedantists, actually, Narad Muni got chance to serve them. Narad Muni got chance to take their prasad, the leftover food, and he tasted that food and that performed some seva to them. And by their seva, he got the chance to serve the Lord. So slowly, his devotion progressed because of the devotee's kripa. So actually, there are two kind of mercy. One is conditional mercy, and one is unconditional mercy. Conditional mercy is in the people, we see material qualities. So they show in those conditional mercy, they show mercy, but there are no good qualities actually in that person. And so when the person who is giving us the mercy, if he sees, that this person has the bad qualities, actually he can withdraw his mercy. And he sees the bad qualities, sometimes he get hatred also. So that way, that conditional mercy is now good, but actually devotees should give unconditional mercy, because unconditional mercy is causeless. Doesn't matter the person whom the devotee giving him mercy, he's qualified or not qualified, doesn't matter on that. It matters that like Bhakti Vedantist, they give him mercy not by seeing the quality, any quality in Narad Muni. Narad Muni was a little boy, he didn't have any quality at that point, but actually it was causeless mercy of those Bhakti Vedantists that they gave him the chance of performing seva, honoring the prasadam. So that way, actually, because devotees, the great saints, they have the equal vision. They don't see that this person has this defect, because we all the time see, the defects of the person. That's our biggest mistake, actually, biggest problem what we have, and that's why we cannot progress in our bhakti, because we have to be equal vision, and then we should actually see the goodness in others, not the bad points. We all the time go for the bad points, not with the good points, and that way we can never progress in our bhakti. Actually, if we see the good point that this devotee is chanting for so many years, he is performing this seva nicely, rather than trying to point out that he told me like this and he told me like this and he does this thing and he does this thing, and that's not good. That's why all the gossip goes on, and that's why we don't progress in our bhakti. So that way Narada Muni actually, like his mother died with the snake bite, but he thought it as a Lord's mercy, and he thought, that now I have more chance, to go and preach and learn. So he just went with his Veena and all over the world, and he got Krishna's mercy more and more. So that's why Narad Muni is actually, he knows even the heart of Krishna. That's why Narad Muni can know what Krishna wants from all of us. That's why he told the Kans, that Krishna actually wants Kans to be killed sooner, because rather than he does more and more aparad, he wanted to liberate him. So that's why Narad Muni actually told the Kans, that don't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sons like that, because it can be any number, So actually you killed all the children, because all the children, they can get liberated that way, rather than, because they had the curse, so that curse was gone for them. Actually, it was mercy. So, and the Narad Muni told that. So now from tomorrow, actually, our shlokas gets a little different. We will be reading only Lord Krishna is to be worshipped. So we will read other thing, because the progress of bhakti is finished with this text now. And I will end here and open for any comments, questions, reflections. So thank you very much for listening patiently. And if you have any comments, please, or questions, please go ahead with that. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kaivalya Prabhu. Very nice class. Very, especially going over all the different stages of progress in devotional service and how it relates to these verses that we're speaking about. Any questions for Kaivalya Prabhu?
Yeah, I have one. Prabhu, actually, it said Mahat Sevaya is very, very important for us to progress. Mahat Sevaya means serving the Vaishnava.
Yes.
It's very important for us to progress in spiritual life, especially a pure devotee. So, like we can see in our day-to-day life, how is it practical? I know, to serve a pure devotee.
Well, many times we have pure devotees in the temple. We have to see their behavior and how they are practicing their sadhana. So, and also we get many times many sannyasis, many senior acharyas in our temple. We didn't had anybody for last 1.5 years, but slowly things are getting better by Krishna's mercy. So we will get them, and or sometime we can hear them even on Zoom. They are any part of the world, they are giving classes. We have thousands and thousands of classes actually, so we can serve just by hearing their class. Hearing is also serving. So, but if we see they are here, we should try to serve them as much as we can. So that is. Otherwise, if we see everybody is bad, then whom we will serve? It's very hard. So we have to see their good characters, good points, and ignore the bad points. And that is the thing. Because in this material world, in Kali Yuga, everybody has faults. Yeah, except very few people, Mahabhagavats, like Srila Prabhupada, which is spotless because he came from the spiritual world. But all the jiva souls, it's very hard. And the people can even find faults in anybody. Even that's why Prabhupada never liked, that somebody should serve him for a long time. Many devotees who serve Prabhupada as their servant, they also wanted to get out of the service, because once you get more familiar with your guru, then you start seeing the faults in him also. So that is actually our nature. So we should not go too close to our guru, never ever. And that way we will not know that, oh, guru was doing this and guru was doing this, and so that causes more trouble and less shraddha in the guru. So we should actually not to go too close and see all the good things in the guru and all the Vaishnavas, and try to serve them.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. It was a nice question, Mataji.
Yeah, I've been reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, seeing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was emphasizing how service to Vaishnava is so important for us, for us to advance in spiritual life.
Yeah, that thing is actually Mahat Seva is very important, because without that is the first thing, we can progress with. Even people at the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's brother-in-law. Whose brother-in-law was that? Like, he was eating too much prasadam, and not Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's brother-in-law, because Gopinath Acharya, he was telling Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that he is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Supreme Personality of Godhead, what you are going to teach him. But in the beginning, he didn't realize that, but slowly he realized that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I I should not preach him, but he was trying to preach him in the beginning. But one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking too much prasadam at somebody's house, and his person's relative, I think Srivas Acharya's one of the relative, he said that why he's eating so many sweets. And one guy saw just the ants in the room of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he thought, that he must be eating too much sweet stuff. Why sannyasi should eat? So people can find fault in the Supreme Lord also. So what to say about finding fault in this material world, with the people? If one tries to find one fault, he will get 100,000 faults, so there is no doubt about that, so we have to see good in others actually and ignore the faults. Then only we can progress. Otherwise you will try to point out all the faults and then never get a proper devotee in our life whom we can serve. Mata, you can add something more.
Yeah, that's very true,
Mm-hmm.
You have to respect the devotee. You have to learn how to respect everyone.
Yeah, that is.
We have another question. Mukund?
Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Mukund Jalila. Sorry, I was just reading the...
Sorry, Prabhu,
Yes.
it was not renamed. So thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful class. There were so many notable points, and somewhere I missed how many types of mercies you mentioned, and what are the difference between all the mercies.
So mercy can be conditioned or unconditioned mercy. So in the unconditioned mercy comes from the pure devotees. They don't see any fault in the person. They don't see his shortcoming. Everybody has shortcomings, so he doesn't see any shortcomings. It's causeless mercy actually. But other kind of mercy, people like some devotees perform because he sees he's serving me. Let me give him mercy, or things like that. So that's a conditional mercy. Sometimes that mercy can be withdrawn, that this person is behaving like crazy. So he takes away that mercy. So that's a conditional mercy actually, because if you do this, I will bless you with this. If you do this, I will bless you with this. And if you don't do that, then I will not. So that is the conditional mercy, and that's not that good. But unconditional mercy of the devotees, which like great devotees have that kind of mercy, and like Mahabhagavats, they have unconditional mercy. They have the equal vision, and that mercy is very useful for us in our life, in our bhakti. So we should try to get unconditional mercy of the great Vaishnavas, and by that we can definitely progress in our life. Otherwise, if it's conditional bhakti, there should be no condition attached. In bhakti should be actually ahetuki apratihata. So in that stage, that mercy will be really great.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful explanation and with all the examples also. So one more question I have.
Sure.
Can I ask? Okay,
Sure.
thank you, Prabhuji. So what are the anarthas you mentioned here?
What I mentioned?
Anarthas.
Oh, anarthas. There are so many anarthas actually. There are 6 kind of anarthas I described, and they all are actually good. Like the 6 anarthas are Utsahamai, Dhantaral, Yu Vikalp, Vishay Sangara, Nemakshama, and Tarangarangini. These are all defined in the Madhurya Kadambini. I read from that, and I included in today's class. So as I explained, people have, and these are all defects not in the materialistic persons, in the devotees actually, that they don't do the bhakti with a lot of enthusiasm. Sometimes they have enthusiasm, but one day enthusiasm is there a lot. Once they hear some good class or something, they get enthusiastic. Okay, Maharaj gave very nice class today, so let me chant this much. And next day, no interest at all. So like that, So sometimes they think, that one person thinks, that, okay, I will be very serious in this and I will do so many rounds and I will read the chapter every day. But like in the first of the year, we make so many promises, and what happens in 15, 20 days, all the promises gone. We are again on the same boat, where we were. So those things has to be actually removed. And we should have a steady bhakti actually, Once we are steady, steadiness comes in the Nishtha stage of bhakti actually. Once we are steady in our service, no matter what, I have to do that many rounds, no matter what, I have to hear the classes, I have to read the Bhagavatam, I have to serve with devotees. Once we have that kind of commitment, then actually that's a great. Otherwise, we are in the very lower modes. We should actually know where we are and what kind of defect we have. Then only we can progress. If we don't know our faults, that I'm lacking in this, then we will not progress actually. We will think that I have mastered all the processes of bhakti and I'm doing very nicely. So then we will not improve. So for improvement, it is important.
Nice, Prabhuji. But again, there's a question arises, like sometimes what happens, like when we are not feeling well, or we got some news, so bad news, or so that time that bhakti get affected. So in that situation, how we can progress or how we can steady in our bhakti?
But if it is situational, due to some bad news or something happens in the family, one can still, he should perform like at least whatever minimum required, like 16 rounds or whatever we have to do, we should do actually. But sometime, in those stages, enthusiasm goes away in bhakti, and that's a natural. But once the situation, we should think, everything, whatever is happening, good news or bad news, as a Krishna Kripa. And if we feel that way, that whatever is happening, because of Lord Krishna, and he's in charge of the world, not this material world, who's doing it. Not a single blade of grass can move without Krishna's mercy, without Krishna's will. So whatever is happening, it may be other way, it may be good way, we have to think those, take it in a good way, even bad thing happens, we have to take it in good way, that way, and see it as Krishna's mercy, and then we can continue our bhakti. Otherwise it will be very hard, but situationally that may happen, and we have to accept that. And once our mind is clear of those things, then we should come back to bhakti again. So we should not lose the track of our goal. We have to keep that goal all the time in our mind. And once a while that happens, that's fine, but we should come back again to our bhakti as soon as we can. So that way we can make us perfect. Otherwise, oh my God, this relative died, now I will not chant for 2 months or 2 years, So that's attachment actually. Where we have in this material world is attachment, and that binds us actually to this material world. And once we know that we are not the bodies, we are the spiritual souls actually, and that time, we will not feel like in front of Arjuna, everybody of his family, all his guru and everybody was killed, but Krishna said that this is the bodily attachment actually, you kill, I have already killed them, you just become nimitta matra. So that way, if we don't have attachment, then we will not feel so sorry for anything happens in this material world. If sometime a rich person, his millions of dollars goes away, then he will be sorry, he will lamenting for that money for months and months, So if we know that this came to me as Krishna's will and went away with Krishna's will, then we will not be attached to that. Then we can perform our bhakti very nicely. Otherwise, if we are attached, because our even wife, husband, or any relatives, dies, anything, we should know that this is has a hand of Krishna, and if we don't have that much attachment, we will not feel that bad. But even if it comes, then we should just continue our bhakti as much as possible. But we should never break our promise to our guru. in any condition, because that should be solid promise, and if you see, oh, this thing happened, so that way we will get so many excuses all the time. So yeah, we have to see ourselves, and see Krishna within our heart and realize him all the time, and then it will be, our job will be much more easy if we take instruction from Krishna what we should do. So that's why this shloka actually says, that once he sees Lord as himself, like soul and super soul, that I'm part and parcel of Krishna, that way, if he sees that way, then it will be much easier to perform bhakti.
Very wonderful explanation, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you, Kaivalya.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a nice class. And then the points you said, it's very much interesting. One is, I feel that I know everything. I know I learned everything. That is, one is aham, and another one is there's no time for learning any bhakti thing. There's no age. From childhood, we think, oh no, it's from childhood I can enjoy. The next youth, then next this comes. There's never we have any time, so we have to have the time in like our routine life things we do. That's what I thought. And the points you gave, very, very good. I think we have to implement in our life. Just thank you very much for
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Again. We will have to end here. And I'm sorry if there's anyone that has any more questions. We have a meeting at 9:00 on this. It's going to be used. The Zoom channel is going to be used for that. Kaivalya Prabhu, again, very much grateful for your class and your explanations, and especially those questions were very good questions. Thank you to the devotees that participated and listened carefully. Tonight, we want to invite everybody to our Sunday program. Because it's a holiday weekend, I know people are traveling, they're doing different things. We're going to be showing the Hare Krishna movie. Anybody that wants to come to the temple and watch it, they can. Those that want to watch it online can just tune in in the regular way, via Zoom or YouTube. You should be able to watch it. We also have some special prasadam, a special feast tonight, and we're trying to make it Memorial Day, even though the weather isn't cooperating so much. But we're hoping that usually Memorial Day is kind of like the first glimpse of summer that we see, and people come together. It's kind of the sign that summer is coming. People go outside, they eat. So we have veggie burgers and fries and a very nice feast that's being prepared by the devotees. So please, hope to see you tonight. Same hours, but if you do want to come and watch the movie tonight at the temple, you're more than welcome. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
See everybody tonight.
Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Ancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhobhyo vicha pattanam Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
everybody. Thank you.